Mr. Ambassador, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for inviting.
So a historic meeting happening today in Moscow. Steve Witkoff, the president's son-in-law, all meeting with your team. Do you think we're close to getting a deal?
That's a good question, but I have no answer to it because a lot of things has happened in the recent days and weeks. Different negotiations on different places took, so I do not know the outcome because it is absolutely well done because it has not leaked. What is the draft which is in front of my president will be today. But besides, there were very many details, as we have seen in the outlining of the plan, which will require further work to put it into normal treaty language, legal language, and all that side. So probably sometime a breakthrough will come, but at the same time we need to accommodate all preliminary. In diplomatic language it is called a framework agreement in the first place. So first we have to achieve framework agreement and then later on to lay it into the treaty language.
How quickly do you think there will be peace?
I have no idea. I have no idea because there are two ways of conducting this type of negotiations. One is just to stop fighting and to come a ceasefire and to come to table. The other one, for instance, during Vietnam wars between the US and Vietnam, negotiations were in parallel with the fighting continued, but in the end, US has withdrawn.
One of the counterparts on the Russian team, of course, is Kirill Dmitriev. He's the CEO of the RDIF, the Russia Direct Investment Fund. And for many years, Kirill and I have had conversations about economic diplomacy. In your mind, how big a role is economic diplomacy going to take in these conversations?
At the moment, I don't believe seriously that economic diplomacy has a role because we have no trade relations with neither with Europe nor with the United States. Because of sanctions, they have boiled down to zero. So not much to talk about how to improve, to increase it. Of course, there can be a dream about it will prosper us, but it will not be easy because we are under sanctions and we have about 40,000 of sanctions placed on us today. So the removal of it as quick as it will be done, of course, will be helpful to restart economic relationship.
Do you think that you're going to see Russia rejoin the SWIFT system anytime soon?
I do not know either because during these years we have established our own system of financial messages. It works. We have a bilateral trade with China, India, many Asian countries in which we use local money without actually using the SWIFT system. Of course, it will be good if it would be re-established, but we are not very hungry to get it at the moment.
Mm-hmm. What benefit is it to Russia to end the war now, given how you've rejiggered your economy into a war economy?
Of course, it will be beneficial to make an end to the war. Anyway, we stand for diplomatic solution, and of course, our people would like that we will settle these differences with NATO, with Europe, with Ukraine. But there is a big question that we do not want to have on our border a puppet state created by Western governments, which will be totally adversarial to us, which is based on Nazi ideology of supremacy of one people against the other, where the Russian language is discriminated, where the Russian Church, Orthodox Church, has been ousted from the country. So we do not need this type of a neighbor on it. This is normal because everybody would like to have a good neighborhood at it, and this is our case as well.
Most of the world would say you guys started this fight.
That is not true.
How is that not true?
This is because it is said by those who do not want to learn history or to understand the events. These events are to save people, not for the territory. It is to save people, Russian-speaking people, the Orthodox Church and all of that from total discrimination, from I would say, from killing them.
Tell me this. Obviously, the United States is working to achieve a peace between Russia and Ukraine. In your mind, is there a way to rebuild relationships with the Europeans? Because even today, they're saying they're being left out of these conversations.
At the moment, and I think for quite a prolonged period of time, European countries, they do not work for peace. mostly the governments here, I wouldn't say every government, but I will say the governments of big three, meaning UK, France, and Germany, they stand for continuation of fighting over there. And I understand why. I do understand why, because the defense industry continues to work, and this is very beneficial now for the very feeble economies. And in this case, they do not need to explain to people that due to their mistake, political mistake, their economy is in a very, very poor state, and the social benefits are fragile.
One might argue that given President Putin's gas war, this might be blamed directly on the Europeans themselves simply because of the choices they made when it comes to energy. It left them vulnerable.
When you speak about gas war, you mean that some Ukrainian officers has blown up Stream 2?
No, I'm talking about 2021 when European gas prices were up 400%.
Well, I hardly believe in this topic of a gas war, because it is in the world of selling gas and oil, this is not my cup of tea. It is extremely complicated, and you never know the real price for which gas has been sold to whom.
You've been here in the UK for some time. You've just witnessed the latest budget announcement. In your mind, how healthy is the United Kingdom today in terms of the economy?
Well, the patient, as doctor said, is in a bad state. in that terms, I will say, because life here, standard life here is not increasing for many years. The economy is around zero for also a number of years. As long as I'm staying here, they are floating from down, a little up, down, a little bit up. When this government has come to power, they promised quite a lot. They promised growth, but in the budget you do not see any growth. You see that it is just an attempt to deal with the holes in the economy, to patch these holes and all of that, but you do not see the breakthrough ideas, breakthrough measures that will help economy. But it is all across Europe right now. It is same in Germany, same in France, I will say. Much of it depends on sanctions on Russia, because Russia was a good partner. Russia was a very reliable partner in supplying oil, gas, in trade and all of that. Now they cut themselves off, and we see the result.
One of the main contentious points in these conversations in terms of achieving peace has been the frozen Russian funds. European leaders have repeatedly said they want to dip into those funds to help rebuild Ukraine. What's your take?
I can say that we are preparing a very serious response to that. It will be a legal response and financial response. A lot if it will happen on the first place, many Europeans will lose their own money that has been invested in Russia. Second, we will pursue them in course, or those who are standing close to this idea. It is our side of the deal. The other side of the deal that, of course, Europe will lose its credibility as a partner for, including for Arab world, of course. That Europe will go down, that it will be chaotic movement over here, because there was never this type of precedent, even during World War II or different wars afterwards. There was never confiscation of the sovereign money of the central banks. This is a violation. This is a stealing, which is punishable by criminal codes in every country.
So you're saying that if those funds will be used by the Europeans, those frozen funds, there will be retribution?
It will be very serious retribution, of course it is.
Yeah. Vladimir Zelensky's government has recently had some major shifts. His chief of staff, Andrei, has been asked to resign as a result of a corruption scandal. In your mind, is the Zelensky government a government you can trust?
The Zelensky government is illegal because of the constitutional breach of law norms, I will say. They should have elections a year ago. Should have had elections a year ago of the president. It is only, they say they do not have elections because of martial law, because of war conditions, so it's not possible. But according to the constitution, it is only the parliament of Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine can can continue its sessions in the state or partial state, but not the president. So the president is illegal, and it's
but
a
in
big
these conversations,
question.
I mean, at the end of the day,
Exactly.
President Putin and President Zelensky
Yes.
will have to come together and make
They
an agreement.
have to come together, but we cannot trust if it will be signed by Zelensky, because according to the plans that has been published, the elections of the president will take place 100 days after that. If another president will come and he will say, I do not have to deal with this piece of paper, so this is none of my business, so it makes no sense to sign with him. So that's a big question, big legal question, how to do now. We can negotiate with administration of Zelensky. We can come to a certain, we may come to a certain agreement on major point, but as for the treaty, but
a long-term agreement.
There will be serious. We do not need just cessation of fire. We need an overall comprehensive set of papers, legally binding, that includes European security, that will include European guarantees for every nation, including Russia, including European countries, that they should be signed, and it is said that it is safe now for everybody. And we will need that someone, on behalf of Ukraine, of course, will sign it. But I don't believe it will be Zelensky, because he will be simply, he has to go into elections, but I'm not sure that he will win.
Right now, Western economies especially are very, very much concerned with the race for artificial intelligence that's happening between the United States and China and where they fit into that dynamic. Particularly here in Europe, as we know, they're talking about data centers and energy needs. Where is Russia in that race?
No, I can say that artificial intelligence is being debated every time. Even now we have a kind of international forum that is going on in Moscow about energy, artificial intelligence, and all of that stuff. So we are in advanced terms on that. So probably
you're not worried you're being left behind?
No. They are developing. It is behind. Who's behind? Of course, I will say that China is now probably on the first place in terms of artificial intelligence.
You think they're winning?
Yes. Well, I'm not sure about the United States, but China, of course, is very much. And if if we cannot talk to Europe, so we talk to other players in this world. It is 85% of world population who is involved here.
Tell me this: India recently, one of your big oil customers, decided to pull back in terms of their purchase of Russian oil. And it was a strategic move simply because of the Western sanctions and the Western pushback, particularly from President Trump. In your mind, is this something that the Russian economy can withstand? The loss of big customers?
Not very scary. India is more than 1 trillion population. It has now plus trillion plus population. Many things are happening over there. President Putin is going to visit India in the end of this week, as far as I understand. So it will be a conversation. As President Modi, he does not like at all what President Trump has done to his country. So I think that we will come to terms about that.
When we talk about a post-war Russia and a post-war world, in your mind, what does that look like? Because we're in a very different position politically, economically, socially than we were just a few years ago.
The only way is to come back to basics. Back to basics in a sense that we have had a Helsinki Final Act, we have had a Paris Declaration, which has established for Europe a unique and a special system of European security. It cannot be based on NATO because it's a group of countries which disregard security of the others, but security should be equal for everybody and indivisible. So if we will come back to basics of 90s, beginning of 2000, it means that we will have favorable conditions for everybody, for every European country, including Russia. If Europeans are still afraid of something, we are prepared to fix it in the agreements, the guarantees that we have no plans, no intentions, and no reason to attack European countries at all. So all this conversation about that, it is complete nonsense.
But they would say, how can we believe you?
This question can be topsy-turvy. How can we believe Europeans since they decided to encircle Russia and establish right close to our borders this adversarial state, which I have described to you earlier, based on Nazi ideology?
So how do you rebuild that trust with your neighbors?
We have no idea. We don't need it. If this will come naturally and without. But there are many people in the West, also in the UK, who do not trust the current line of official line. I mean, towards Russia. And I have many cases when people are approaching me and saying, "We don't believe this government. We still would like to be in good terms with Russia and with Russians."
What is the greatest concern that you have going forward in terms of security? Is it the United States making moves in the Arctic? Is it the fact that, as we mentioned, the China-US war, whether it is on trade or AI? What's, in your mind, the biggest challenge?
The biggest challenge, of course, it is militarization of European governments. All these conversations that we will have war with Russia in the year 2030, 2035, which local generals with very short-sighted, without knowing the real situation, they're trying to convince their own governments and their own people that war is unavoidable and the economies should be militarized and we should be afraid of Russia. It happens.
But you guys opened that door by invading Ukraine.
It's a kind of an objective.
You gave them that opening, is what I'm saying.
I will say that it happens twice every 100 years here in Europe when they are started to be afraid of Russia. And this is a phenomena which we understand and it's a kind of objective thing. We didn't open the door because I do not want to repeat what I have said, how it has been opened. It has not been opened by us. We are just responding to the events, reacting to the events.
They would say the same about you guys. Tell me this, sir. President Trump has made it a hallmark, a legacy issue for his presidency to get a deal done between Ukraine and Russia. Do you believe he's going to achieve that?
In the end of the day, that depends on us and Ukraine, of course. At the moment, I cannot say legacy, what is it he has said, legacy in the Middle East, that he ceasefire in the Middle East, but what next? The second stage does not arrive. It will depend how serious he will be, how long he will have to keep this. Well, he can, of course, go away from that and then allowing Ukrainians to launch Ukrainians to fight on their own, but it will be a quick defeat for the Ukrainians. Defeat is now happening along the borders. We have already made breakthrough in Ukraine, very serious breakthrough. These days, in 3 last months during the autumn, we have liberated 86 settlements. So, and the tempo is increasing of our advancement. So if he will stand out of it, then simply we will continue movement in a high tempo and we will get much more of Ukraine territory under which, and they will have to withdraw and we will, and terms and conditions of future negotiations will be much worse for Ukrainians.
Do you believe that a deal will be done?
At one point in time, it will be done, and on our conditions.
Mr. Ambassador, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you very much.